Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? Welcome to my senior capstone proposal. My name is Theophilus O'Neill III, but I normally just go by Theo. And my capstone will be on the spectacle of Korean film. Okay. Okay. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in Hawaii. I went to school, or I went to high school in Pro City High School. Go Chargers. Um, I did a bunch of sports there. And then after high school, I went to Leeward Community College where I majored in digital media and animation and motion graphics. And after my time there, I transferred over to here in at West Oahu, where I'm studying creative media, and my focus is in general creative media. So obviously, this is the summary. I'll be talking about these components of the
I got the link.
presentation. So my thesis is the Korean film industry is up and rising at a steady pace, slowly paving the way to how films will be laid out in the future. Some background to that thesis includes the history and uprise. I talk a lot about the Korean film's, international rise. Where it started in the late 90s to early 2000s after vestiges of South Korea's military regimes ended. This eased the censorship laws in South Korea, therefore allowing all sorts of media forms to be internationally produced. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but after that, like around that time, one of South Korea's first international hits in Shiri came out in 1999, and it's known for being like the beginning of the Korean cinema on a global scale. My thesis also talks about how the United States or Hollywood industries are kind of lacking in creative storytelling. Talks a lot about how they're doing a lot of revamps of old movies and stories, and a lot more historical things, whereas South Korea is slowly making more taking advantage of that and making a creative piece. Fast forward to Shiri. Sorry, I'm kind of everywhere right now. We move on from Shiri, and we get this great director in Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho won countless amounts of awards for all sorts of all of like his films. There's Parasite, Okja, and he's won multiple films in the Academy Awards, Golden Globes, the Grand Bell Awards, Korean film, London, Australia, Asian, Tokyo, you name it. And Parasite is one of his more well-known films because it is the first foreign film to win Best Picture. And right after Parasite, around that same time when the pandemic hit, a film called Squid Game, or a show called Squid Game, came out on Netflix, where it quickly rose to stardom, and it became one of the most popular shows to premiere on Netflix at the time of its release. And one thing that was really interesting about Squid Game is that compared to all the other TV shows and streaming shows that came out around that time, Squid Game was significantly cheaper than a lot of the other films, such as WandaVision, I think Bridgerton too. They were all in like the 10 million plus range. I can't give a number right now. Can't think of it at the top of my head, but yeah, they're in the 10 millions range, or 10 plus million, whereas Squid Game was about, I think, 3 million. So my senior capstone plans is to create a short film dedicated to the uprise in the overall entertainment industry of South Korea, but more importantly, Korean cinema. It'll include nods to popular Korean films such as Parasite, Squid Game, Okja, and many more. The idea isn't all there just yet, but I have a gist of what the film will be about. It'll be about a stubborn American character who is forced into this direction to where um, kind of Korean things are the only things on, like Korean drama, Korean movies, all sorts of Korean media is the only thing on. And he ends up falling asleep while watching it and wakes up the next morning only speaking and understanding Korean. We see the character kind of learn Korean culture and as well as get a taste of the cinema that comes with it. So the significance, one thing that's significant about it, sorry, I need to move my thing over a bit, is it gives like an idea of what's going on in the rest of the world, you know. I thought it was pretty interesting that I've had short film classes here as well as in Leeward, and a lot of the times when I'm creating videos, I often find myself in that sort of Hollywood kind of sense where I'm just remaking somebody else's idea. Whereas the Korean film industry, there's so much untapped potential in there. And that's just in South Korea. There's plenty of other places, India, Japan, United Kingdom, that is just full of great ideas. And I think we can um, rise upon that, take advantage of it. The future of this, or future implications, would be case studies on foreign films. Like I said, there's a lot of untapped potential outside of Hollywood. So this will help open minds up to a whole different way of storytelling and for the creative industry. Another thing is storytelling and production techniques. Bong Joon-ho is infamously known for his use of genre bending for creating films. Watching his films, you see all sorts of patterns, like the way he shoots. He has a lot of steady shots in his films, as well as a lot of he really knows how to settle down a movie or a film and get it to like a dead calm, and then immediately like rise it up to this fiery chaos of a conclusion. And learning how to like do that and have that influence from international directors would be a huge stepping stone in the production industry or film industry, sorry. So some data that I got, we have here the film industry or the film entertainment revenue in selected countries worldwide in the year 2020, which wasn't too long ago. Obviously, United States, Hollywood, still number one. We have all sorts of box office movies, but at what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have South Korea at just 1,040, literally 20 times smaller than America, which understandably so, America's been dominant throughout the film industry. As you can see here, I have all sorts of movies, all Korean directed, and you see this American influence inside these movies. You have, Jake Gyllenhaal and Okja, Chris Evans in Snowpiercer, and Stephen Yeun. I don't know how to say his last name, but Stephen Yeun in Minari. And this kind of just shows America getting a look, or checking out what's going on in South Korea and giving it a chance. And really just trusting the process. And obviously, these are big names: Jake Gyllenhaal, Chris Evans, Stephen Ewan. Um, that the fact that they're doing it obviously speaks volumes, because I don't think they would just take any role, you know? And so we see another chart of the estimated revenue worldwide in the year 2025, which is 2 years from now. And we see South Korea move up 2 ranks to seventh. Um, Obviously, it's not it's nowhere near America just yet, but we see a huge jump from what was 20 times bigger to now like 14 times. No, not 14, sorry. 18, a little under 18 times. So we are South Korea is slowly catching up and making its way to the top. The target audience for my project would be up and coming future filmmakers, ages 13 to 30. I feel like that's kind of the range where you see a lot of social media influencers, you see YouTubers. Oh, I forgot to fill that out too. But what I meant to say was YouTubers, TikTok influencers, anybody who just has a camera and wants to create stuff. This is kind of their moment to shine and hopefully get ideas. Um, what is the intellectual significance to your members? Um, the way this solves my problem of influencing people is to the idea of Korean films is being is showing the techniques used by Bong Joon-ho through my project. Hopefully I do them well, uh, and I can create this story that kind of captivates people the way a lot of South Korean films have caught my eye. So the preparation, obviously there's a lot of work to do in the pre-production stage. Got to create the story, the storyboards, script, and find a cast. Production involves a lot of shooting days, and post-production is just editing and trying to find, oh, look at that, I spelled royalty wrong. Royalty-free music. So the deliverable obviously I'd want to have like a great, not only story, but a great cinema, yeah. Where it feels like every time you can pause the movie, it's like a picturesque, you know? Everything is shot with a purpose, and it obviously shows character arc through our main protagonist, or yeah, our main protagonist. And it's kind of all I got. So does anybody have any questions?